Welcome to Asher and Torah in Time. We are up to Perek Ches, pasuk Mem Daled. The last thing we spoke about was how Shlomo Melech said that when Mashiach is, for sure when Mashiach is going to come, but that this Beis Hamikdash that he's building is for all nations of the world. And in Kibesi Beis Tefillah Chol Ha'amim, it's a place where every single human being in the world is going to be able to come and connect to Hashem. And now we're up to pasuk Mem Daled. Ki seitze am chola milchomo al oivoi. That means not only is the Beis Hamikdash going to be a place that when there's any type of problem in the world, when there's going to be famine in the world, when the heavens are not going to give rain, when anybody is going to want to pray and connect to Hashem, this is going to be the place. It's also going to be for all nations of the world. And now we're up to Ki seitze am chola milchomo al oivoi. When people are going to go out to war against their enemy, בדרך אשר תשלוחם והספללו אל השם דרך העיר אשר בחרת בו והבית אשר בניתי לשמך. And people are going to pray through the city of Jerusalem that you have chosen and through the Beis Hamikdash, the bias that we built for your name. ושמעת השמיים es tfilosam ve'es techinosam ve'yosisam mishpotam. And he's saying, Hashem, please listen to their prayers from the heaven and fulfill their needs. So this is really something that he prayed for, that regardless if there's going to be a Beis Hamikdash, standing or not, but regardless of where people are going to be, they're always going to be praying through. It's like that's why the Beis Hamikdash is called Talpios, Tel Shekol Pios Pernamelov, that all mouths, all prayers are channeled through this place and through this space, and that's why when we daven, we always daven towards Yerushalayim and towards Har HaBayis. And then he adds, Ki yechte lecha, ki ein adam asher lo yechte. When people are going to sin, Ki ein adam asher lo yechte. There's nobody who's not going to sin. He's saying a fact. Shlomo Melech saying, I want you all to know, ein adam asher lo yechte. Not going to be anyone who's not going to sin. Yanafta bam, and Yekaviyachol going to be upset with them and asatam lefnei oyev, and you're going to deliver them to their enemy. That's going to be their wake-up call. V'shovum sheveyem. They're going to be captured and they're going to be taken to a faraway land. They're going to be taken into exile, which is actually what happens later on. When they're going to be in exile, they're going to wake up, they're going to say, hey, why am I sent here in exile? It's because I was distant from you, Hashem. You know what's going to happen? They're going to return to you with all of their hearts and all of their souls. You know how they're going to pray to you? They're going to pray through their land. Whenever a Jew is going to pray, regardless of the situation, whether he was banished from your kingdom, he's always going to be praying through your kingdom. It's fascinating because could you imagine somebody's building a house for the very first time, and when he's building it and he's inaugurating it, he's making Chanukas Habayis. What he's saying about Chanukas Habayis is that even when this house won't be here, this house will remain. It's like the last thing it's the last thing we would ever think of saying. It's like, it's hard to even say it, but it's like somebody saying that, there's like a couple getting married, and by the chuppah you're saying, and even when this couple is going to be divorced, they're still going to be in love with each other. It's like something, but the eternity of it, and the message of transcendence, that this house is not only about a physical box, it's about the space, that space will remain forever. That was the message that he was saying. And you're going to forgive your people who are going to sin against you, and you're going to have mercy on them. Because it's crazy this. He's davening to Hashem that after this place will be destroyed, and after everybody's going to be sent away, remember that we're still your people because you chose us and you took us out of Mitzrayim, and you took us out of the Kura Barzel, which is like an iron furnace, a smelting pot of iron. And the concept of Kura Barzel is that just like when you smelt iron, it gets purified through the heat. But ultimately, there's always iron that can get purified. That means there's an essence of the iron that's always pure. It just has to get purified in order to bring it out. So too, the Jewish people are always an essence which is good and connected, but they go through smelting pots in order to purify them. That your eyes should be open to the tefillas of the Yidden. Ki ato evdaltem l'chol u'nachlo mikol amei haaretz, kasher dibarta b'yad Moshe avdecha, b'tziachas v'seinu Mitzrayim Hashem Elokim, because you separated them from the nations of the world, and you said through Moshe Rabbeinu, when you took our fathers out of Egypt, and they cried out to you, Hashem, you said that we're yours. And here, you're going to see all the tefillahs that we say now in Yemei Rachim V'Aslichos. All of the tefillahs come from this Perek. And when I was learning it, I was like, wow, I never knew this. I never knew all the tefillahs, the high parts of Tishrei, everything that's like stirring and moving, that moves our soul, all come from these psukim that Shlomo Melech said. And now you know the context. The context was when Shlomo Melech was saying, when the Beis Hamikdash was built, that we're eternal. We're always going to remain Hashem's people, and this space is going to remain, and Hashem's going to listen to us even when He banishes us because He wants to purify us. It was after he finished praying these prayers, he stood up before the Mizbeach. He was kneeling on his knees, his hands were spread out to heaven. And listen to what he said. He said, Baruch Hashem Hashanah Menucha L'Am Yisrael, V'chol Asher Diber Lo Yinafal Davar Echad Mikol Davarei HaTov Asher Diber B'Yad Moshe Avdei. Everything that he said, nothing fell. No words remained empty. Yehi Havai Elokeinu Imanu. Yehi Hashem Elokeinu Imanu. Kasher Oyom Avoseinu Al Yazveinu V'Al Yitcheinu. Lahatos levavenu elav loleches b'chol derachav v'lishma mitzvosav v'chukav v'mushpotav asher tzivas aviseinu. May Hashem be with us, never abandon us, never reject us. May He turn our hearts towards Him. V'dvar ha'yel asher eschananti lefnei Hashem krovim al Hashem Elokeinu yoimam v'loilo l'asis mishpat avdoi mishpat am Yisrael dvar yom b'yoimoi. These are all the psukim that the mandas kolam me'aretz. Ki Hashem hu Elokim einoid. The man das kalam haaretz ki Hashem hu Elokim einoid. These are like the most powerful psukim that all the nations of the world should know that God is our God. There's nothing besides Him. V'hoy levavchem sholem im Hashem Elokeinu l'leches b'chukav v'lishma mitzvosav kayom hazeh. V'hamelech v'chol yisrael. When he finishes these psukim, I just want to go back into this inyan that whenever we stand there, Simchas Torah, and we say all of these psukim, we know the psukim growing up, and it's like, wow, Hashem is one, and Hashem is always. But it was said in the context of Shlomo Melech saying that even when you're going to mess up and you're going to be thrown out, God is always with you. And that's the high part that we adopted and we turned it into the tefillahs of the Yom Neroim. And the highest part of the Yom Neroim, which is Simchas Torah, when we get to that point, when we're mamish, the ultimate dveikus is from realizing that Hashem is with us even when He seems not to be with us. And this is pshat. It's not Chassidus Torah. It's just a pshat in what's happening here. They were bringing sacrifices. So they bring over here 22,000 cattle, 120,000 sheep, a guzma. There was so much they brought inside the courtyard. It was too small to contain all of the karbanos and all of the sacrifices that people were bringing. Vayash Shlomo beis hayas achog v'chol Yisrael im kol gadol milava chamos ad nachal mitzrayim v'nei Hashem Elokeinu shivas yomim v'shivas yomim abos yom. 14 days this festival went. 14 days the oilam went all out. Vayoyim hashmini, on the 8th day, Shilach es ha'am, sends away the people, vayivorchos hamelach vayelchu aleim. So the Shmini over here means Shmini Atzeres, on the 8th day of Sukkot. The oilam is leaving, vayelchu aleim smeichim v'toivei leiv. Al kol ha'toiv asher osa Hashem leDavid avdoi u'lYisrael amoy. And it was on that day that he sent away the people, and everybody left Sameach v'toiv leiv. Why did they leave Sameach v'toiv leiv? Not only because the party was a good party, because the message of the party was extremely empowering, because they didn't just celebrate a physical house that took them 7 years to build. They celebrated the relationship that Hashem gave them a dira b'tachtoinim. He gave them a dwelling place here below, and there was like a commitment made that regardless of what happens, we're going to be here and we'll work things out. It's like lahavdul, by the goyim, or by people who are influenced by goyish ways of thinking. Like when you get married, they have prenuptials. They have like you already before you even commit to get married, you're already figuring out how it's going to work, how it's going to work, how we're going to divide things up. On the other hand, what we're saying over here, we're not saying that it's prenuptials, how we're going to get divorced and how we're going to, get banished. We're saying that even when things are going to seem bleak, there's always going to remain a commitment, and soif kol soif, we're going to get back together. At the end of the game, it's only going to be a temporary distance in order to make things much better, purify ourselves, that we should be here. But this relationship will remain forever. And if you want to see how powerful these tefillos were, just look at the fact that we're learning it here today. Thousands of years later, we're learning it. And we're actually living it. You can go to Eretz Yisrael today, and you could see Ki Beis Tefillah L'Chalamim. You see all the nations of the world. You see people coming to the Beis HaMikdash today. You see the fact that throughout all the generations, people have always been praying towards Mizrach, towards Jerusalem, with a focus and a mindset towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim, towards that space that Ishayno tel talpiyo. So Ishayno, when we're saying Ishayno tel talpiyo, Ishayno is tel shukol piyos peinuel. We're saying that Hashem, Ishayno, help us that talpiyos, which is the mount of mountains, should channel all of our tefillas up to Him. It's a moedical limit. It's a moedical limit that Jews don't celebrate physical houses. We celebrate the message behind the house. We don't celebrate the glory and the grandeur. We don't say, okay, we built a huge house and, as long as it lasts, the party's going to stay. But, there's a lot of nations that build temples. If you go in the ancient world, there's many, many temples. And what happened to all of those temples? People celebrated a physical temple. The physical temple was destroyed, and that was that. But it's unbelievable. When it was built like a tchila, it was built with a message. And that message stays until today. So we should be zochim et Hashem to repair our relationship to the extent that we should both be able to move into the same house again today.